All right. Well, Eric, good to see you. Welcome to our leader farming conversation. I'm honored to have you as a guest here on the show. And let's first off talk about, well, prior to hitting record here, we were talking about some stuff that we definitely want to get into in terms of, balancing life and entrepreneurship and all that stuff. But why don't we first off introduce you, tell us who you are, and then we'll maybe share a little bit about how we met and um, and then what we're kind of working on together, and then we'll go from there. So
Well,
tell me about yourself. Tell everyone about yourself.
thank you very much for having me. And we had to like flip the flow. Holy crap, we started getting into some good stuff, and we better hit the record button before we get too far lost in the weeds. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm how do you ever even answer that question? It's constantly evolving. Who am I? That is the question. My name is Eric Bakey, and right now I'm a cartoonist, and I illustrate business books and try to draw meaningful illustrations and try to. My mission right now is to reveal the truth through simple sketches and just trying to find better ways to visually communicate with and understand the world around me and share that gift with other people. So you and I met through a veterans entrepreneur group, and you were speaking about your experiences with both Chick-fil-A and growing your leader farming business. And I was like, wow, I need this. Just something you said just touched me. I was like, I gotta follow up with this guy, and we became fast friends, and it's evolved into what we've got going on now. So I'm honored to have met you and to continue to evolve the relationship, and looking forward to whatever else comes of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would say that there are few people in my life that I feel like I have connected to as quickly as I did with you. Because part of it was, I think, because we had so much in common. Both have a military background, and we both like jujitsu, and we are both entrepreneurs. And so, it was just one of those things that we connected really fast. But, you know, I would say, I'm going to put you on spot here for a minute and say, the question of is I want to drill down a little bit deeper into who is Eric Bakey, and not just what Eric Bakey does. You're a phenomenal cartoonist, illustrator. As you mentioned, you've been helping me with a project that we're working on right now, a Lean Six Ninja book resource, primarily for my team, but also for others that want to help create or create a continuous improvement culture in their organization. But I'd love to hear more about who you are, or better phrased, maybe who you are becoming.
Mhm. And it's really, I got that when you asked me, and I was like, I used to be so sure of whatever it was, whether I was, an army guy, answer with my MOS, or I pun intended came up in the elevator business. So I was a elevator mechanic or a superintendent, general contractor, whatever, before really trying to answer that question of what do I want? Who do I want to be known for? And really like do a lot of introspection, which right now it's kind of manifesting as cartoonist or whatever. And it's just more of a playful way to just answer that question, because a lot of people are very surface level, and it's just like I give them a little nugget to just kind of, all right, leave me alone because I'm still kind of figuring this thing out. And it's easy for you to wrap your head around that thing. Um, so yeah, it is an evolution, and the more um, I would like to be able to answer in a way that's like I'm becoming an apprentice to Jesus, and I'm becoming more comfortable with what that means and how it's showing up in my life. I really have I've been going on a spiritual journey, and it's it's showing up in a lot of different ways, and it's like really it's peeling back this onion. I thought I already like honed it down. I was like, I had already shed so much of this like poser stuff that I had put out in my life, and the deeper I go, that just, I'm like, wow, it keeps on. I haven't even scratched the surface yet. I thought I left all this baggage behind, but it keeps it's freeing and rewarding, and yeah, human being as in like the verb. I'm becoming and being me, but I'm no more my fingertip as I am my brain or my heart or whatever. So it's like there's definitely something more to it, and I'm figuring that out.
Yeah, that's good. So newly married.
Also newly married,
Yeah,
so
yes.
husband added to brother to son to all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So um we, prior to hitting record, we were talking about some things about, balance. I simply asked you the question, like, how you doing? And your response was something like, man, I don't know how you balance everything. Or, of course, most people that know me, they know I have 7 children. I run a Chick-fil-A, have over 100 team members, run a farm. Like, there's just a lot of, as my grandfather would say, I got many irons in the fire. But for me, I was talking about how I think in some ways, balance is a bit of a myth. It's like, if you're trying to balance things perfectly, you're constantly going to be frustrated. And so I tend to say that I am intentionally neglecting certain things for short periods of time and focusing on those particular things that I'm working on. And so, like, right now, I'm intentionally neglecting my family so that I can record a podcast with you. And then I will shift focus here soon and intentionally neglect business and podcasting and all that stuff to take my son to Muay Thai kickboxing and jiu-jitsu tonight. And so and we'll enjoy that together. We almost my whole family trains some sort of combative sport, and we really enjoy that as a family. But when we talk about our growth, and as you've read Leader Farming, one of the key themes in that book, and what I feel like is really kind of my message to share with people, is this idea of a seasonal growth mindset. And so the world teaches us that growth is, it's progress or growth over time. And so, everything inside that graph is just up and to the right. Every month has to be better than the month before. Every year has to be better than the year before. Every podcast has to be better than the podcast before. Like, whatever it is, whatever category, it's all got to be better. And that's just simply not true when we look at God's model of growth. And it's not necessarily that it's not better. It's just not that it's not necessarily bigger or outwardly growth. So, for example, we talk about in winter, trees, they don't grow upward and outward. They grow inward and deeper. And so let's talk about that in your life, and what, in terms of seasons, tell me about a winter season, a season where you have been very introspective and you have grown, inward in your depth of character, in your depth of who you are becoming. Your roots have grown deeper, and maybe you did some pruning in the process of some things that were, you and I have talked about this before. Your branches are extending beyond your roots, and that's a potential problem when the storm comes along, right? And so, tell me a little bit about a winter season in your life, and then we'll pick another season here in a minute. Feel free to share whatever you like, but we definitely want to hit on a winter season and talk about some growth that happened through that.
So it's when I first left the corporate world, I had fast success as a marketer. Like I'm a blue collar guy, so I know how to communicate in a very simple way. So it was actually really easy for me to add simple communication to a technology platform like Facebook ads. This is 5 or 6 years ago when it was the wild, wild west. And really, if you could just put an offer out there, people would click on it and buy stuff. And I got really good at this thing, and I was making a bunch of money and making really poor decisions because I didn't really think about what I was trying to accomplish. I was just like put words into computer and money happens and life goes on, especially without a clear direction of where I was trying to head. It's a really pretty dangerous combination. Um, so I found myself having basically burned bridges in my back on in the Northeast, the Baltimore DC area. Uh, Wandered my way out to the West Coast, burned some bridges in Los Angeles, and found myself in Austin, Texas, where nobody I'm gonna start all over again. And I went to this just very lost and went to this like weekend workshop. It was at it's like a religious thing. I knew I needed some God in my life. I just didn't really know what that meant at all. I went to this like weekend workshop retreat thing, and the facilitator, um, it wasn't like there was a pastor there. It was just very non-denominational at a church. It was very strange. Anyway, he goes, what do you really want? And I could not answer that question. I just knew I didn't want what I had, and I was not growing anything. I had no roots, literally no roots. No one knew me, and I really had no direction, and I couldn't even tell them what I wanted. It felt like a very much like a Alice in Wonderland moment. Well, if you don't know which way you're going, any road will do. And I was very unfulfilled. Didn't know I was, I guess, successful financially, but I just wasn't. I was spiritually bankrupt, and I really had to make some major changes in my life, and I didn't really have much of a positive influence. So I just really had to go, like, figure this thing out. And yeah, it was like that was very similar to the kind of question that how you answer, like, who, like, how are you? It was like, but how are you really? It's like, so what do you want? But what do you really want? And I could say, yeah, I want a successful business. I want like whatever, but I want to find meaningful work, want meaningful relationships. But I didn't really know, like, what does that actually mean? I couldn't answer that question. So that was like the beginning of all this stuff. That started about 5 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I appreciate you sharing that. Not everybody's willing to be vulnerable and transparent about the hardship and things that cause us to grow in that way. Um, so tell me about another season in your life, and whether it be just maybe a harvest that came out of what you learned there or something else.
Well, at that time, I really had not. I I know I wanted to do something with art or creativity, but I really didn't have the skill set. So it's like, well, I really just I love to read, and I would love to be able to like create something in the publishing world, something, but I don't really have the skill set. Like I really wasn't that great of a writer, or a drawer or of anything. And so I just like, well, I just start practicing some like cartooning. Because like I don't think I'm ever going to be painting the Mona Lisa or anything. So like this is much more approachable. And I started planting seeds as getting a bunch of drawing books and courses on drawing, and found a mentor who like made a living as a cartoonist. And so like I just started planting seeds on this thing. And now fast forward to now, and I've illustrated a book that I'm really proud of with you and some other like big name people. That's like, holy crap, like I can do something that I actually want. This is what I actually wanted to do. I spoke it into existence. I went and did the work, planted the seeds, and I'm harvesting the benefits of that to the point where I feel comfortable asking for my bride's hand in marriage, and buying a house, and like really making the stuff happen. So I'm in a completely different phase of my life season of life, and it's all been really, it's been very spiritually guided, even though I didn't know it at the time. Like now it's like I brute forced my way to, and like tired myself out. And I really like God has a really funny sense of humor of like let me go get, just like go fail like miserably on my own. Like it just let me do it. Like he didn't have to smite me or strike me down or whatever. I just tired myself out. And whether it was wisdom or fatigue or spiritual guidance, I finally found my way back to it, and I'm really becoming more and more energized the more in alignment I'm getting with it. So yeah.
Very cool. You said something a minute ago that just came back to me that was um, yeah, really a deep thought. And that was, you said, I had no roots. Um, Maybe take a moment to talk about the difference between then and now, and your root structure and what that has done for you.
My mentality, hindsight is 2020. At the time, I was engaged as a like a marketing mercenary, a pirate, if you were, and I was out to go take land, to pillage and to find whatever kind of treasure I could dig up. And that was so unfulfilling, and it was so like I didn't know it at the time until I could finally, I don't know what happened, where I was like, well, let me make this paradigm shift to be more of a farmer. And like, how would that feel? I don't know. Like I've been very, very fortunate not to have hit some rock bottom. I have not like like hurt anyone or gone to jail or anything. Like nothing terrible has happened other than just it's been an expensive, painful experience. Wandering in the desert. But like I just shifted to, how do I cultivate a more meaningful life, and what would that look like, and how do I like grow the relationships and look for meaningful work like in my own backyard. And I had this shift. It's like, if I can't make money in my own backyard, acres of diamonds or whatever, if I can't find the meaningful people in my own 3 foot world, like I'm never going to find it out there. Just so why am I going to keep go chasing on this, greener pastures? Like, let me grow up, like, let me bloom where I'm planted. There's all kinds of other, one liners, and like, let me just grow, and let me water this water that there's a grass right underneath me, and see what happens. And that shift has transformed like every aspect of my life. And I'm trying to cultivate more meaningful and more intentional everything, and more like um the your the conversation with balance, like, as I'm trying to integrate everything in my life so that it's on purpose, instead of just like, okay, I ran out of this thing and go run out there and get it. And I'm just really trying to grow the kind of things that I want in a community through a very different kind of root structure, rather than being a renegade marketing mercenary. Do things much differently.
That's good. Good. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and throw a question to you that I'm going to ask here in a minute, but then I'm going to share something, a thought. But just think about, what is it you would like to share? Leader Farming podcast, and what I'm doing, what I feel called to do is just to help people that are wanting to cultivate. I mean, you just use that word, cultivate. Cultivate leaders and entrepreneurs in business and at home. So what that means for me is that I'm a leader in business. I've been given the opportunity to impact people's lives that work with me, and then also at home. I have 7 children, and so I'm going to ask you here in a minute, like, what is the one, as we kind of close out, what is the one thought, one piece of advice that you would like to share with the people that are listening to this? And so, and it just in the moment, whatever comes to mind, and that's fine. But as I think about who is listening, and it's those fellow dads out there that are raising their children and looking at kind of the crazy world that we live in today, and thinking, man, I don't necessarily want my child to follow the standard path that is, saying just go to school, make good grades so you can get a good job and work 9 to 5 for the rest of your life. Or maybe it's even my team members in my restaurant that are, thinking, yeah, I mean, this is a great opportunity, and this is my terminology, it's like it's a garden. I want to create soil where people can grow and become the best version of themselves. But if people are truly listening to what I'm saying, nowhere in my plan is it to, capture someone, bring them into my organization and keep them for the rest of their life. Like, that's not what I'm doing. And so I call myself a leader farmer. Like, I'm growing leaders. And yes, some people will come alongside me and join me in my mission and say, hey, I want to help you cultivate this garden. I'm here to be a helping hand in your mission to help you grow other people. I have no desire to, become an astronaut or a, fill in the blank. I just want to be a part of what you're doing, and I've caught that vision. And so, yes, I have people in my organization like that. I'm very grateful and very thankful for those folks that have come alongside me and aligned with what I'm doing, because they see their role and their purpose in helping other people grow and become the best version of themselves. And we've launched countless leaders. Just recently, last week, another leader in my organization got selected to be a Chick-fil-A franchisee, and that was the fifth that we've, by the grace of God, being able to produce out of our organization. And we've had Service Academy graduates, West Point Naval Academy. We've had those go off into the service. I've got bankers, I've got lawyers, I've got uh, real estate agents, you name it, like those that have gone into multiple different career fields, nurses. And so, my goal in this organization is to come alongside them and help them become the best leader and the best version of themselves, more of the person that they were created to be. And I think about that. Not everybody's going to become an entrepreneur, but I think everybody can think entrepreneurially, right? You can have an entrepreneurial mindset even inside a job as as an employee, and by innovating and thinking outside the box, and so all those things. So with that in mind for our audience, and the journey that you've got so much wisdom in your journey and what you've been through in life. What would you like to share with those that are listening?
So I would love to respond to all of the nuggets that you just gave me, but it's what season, like recognizing that there are seasons in your life, and that a the I'm looking at your logo there, the tree. It started as like a little acorn in the ground,
Mhm.
and it needed to be cultivated, needed to be in the right soil, needed the right sunlight, needed to be taken care of to then grow up into this majestic tree. Um, and so as people and people, we want to be great. Like nobody wants to be an average little um sickly little tree, where like they want to grow up to be as big and spread their branches as big as possible. And how do you take both from what is your nature as a human being, uh how do you take lessons from nature that are right in front of you and combine the two of them to get what you're really trying to accomplish? And so that would be my one thing, is like responding with three things basically is like recognizing that there are seasons in life, recognizing that you do need a lot of other people, and recognize that you are destined for greatness. Like you have it within you to be as big and innovative and entrepreneurial, or the greatest possible manager, employee, or even just the greatest like broom pusher, if that's what you really want to be, the greatest cleaner. Like it's you define success. Like success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, and you need to figure out like how do you set up your environment so you can be the greatest you can be. And that's like the entrepreneurial trick, is that they hire the people who are smarter than them, and like that's the cooperation of a great organization, is bringing up everybody, and it's not just being the smartest, slickest uh, CEO. It's about like creating a winning team together, accomplishing a worthwhile mission. So that's my long one nugget response.
No, I love it. And to further illustrate your point, in every acorn exists the possibility of a mighty oak tree. And so, it's the environment in which they're planted. It's also, what are they doing to cultivate themselves and to help themselves grow and become what they were, as I share, what God intended for them to be. And so appreciate you sharing your thoughts and wisdom and from your journey. It's an honor to be your friend, and to have worked on a project with you. You do great work. For those that want to find you, I know you're pretty selective about who you work with, so I feel honored to work with you. But how do people find you?
I'm not too hard to find on the internet. Just don't believe everything you hear or read. But ericbakey.com, eric@ericbakey.com, and you can find me on Instagram if you want to see my styles, eric.bakey on Instagram. So I post pretty regularly there too.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing, and I look forward to doing much more life with you as a friend and also in business ventures. Look forward to all of that. So I appreciate you, man. Thanks again for your time, and appreciate having you on the show.
It's an honor to be here, and I appreciate you very much, Zach.